Hey, everybody. It is Kristin and Craig from Kaiut Yoga Boulder. And
Hello.
and as you know, Kaiut Yoga, it is a proven method for transforming pain. And I'm super excited to sit down with Craig. Most of you guys know that Craig, Darvin, and myself, we have this beautiful business relationship, but outside of that, we have this wonderful friendship as well. And so it's always special for me when I get to sit down with both of you or one of you and get to talk about one of the things that is very near and dear to my heart, Kaiut Yoga. Um, and so and so here we are, Craig. It's great to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Always love chit-chatting with you, especially not only Kaiut, but also like gardening and even your kids, because I've been taking
Yeah.
Henry to the
Mhm,
skate park and I've
mhm.
been having a blast
Uh,
with Hen Dog.
Craig, I'm really glad that you brought that up because I think that's perfect. You've got a 2-hour class coming up on Saturday, May 15th. You're talking about unleash your potential, right? And it's really cool that you brought this up because, I think as we age, right, a lot of people think that they can't do what they used to do, or sometimes it becomes too hard or whatever, and that piece gets blocked. And here you are jamming out with Hen Dog, who's 11, right, at the skate park, blowing his mind, teaching him all these moves. And we don't necessarily have to go down that road, but I want to hear from you, how Kaiut Yoga has opened up your eyes, your perspective around potential.
Sure. And there's many aspects of unleashing our potential. We can talk about the more physical level and enhancing the functionality
Hmm.
of our bodies. And we can also talk about the sort of social impact to our um, what we see in ourselves. So, for example, I'm 37 and I shouldn't be skateboarding anymore. I'm too old for that. That sort of mindset where, I mean, this can be for anything, where we assume that at a certain age we shouldn't be doing something or we're
Hmm.
too old for whatever. So I think it's super interesting to begin unpeeling that sort of onion of awareness to the things that we've been conditioned to know or think or apply to ourselves. And I think that the yoga practice allows you to see into that. So to see
Hmm.
that, wait a minute, was this my decision to say that I shouldn't be doing this and this, or was this assumed from the social stratosphere of assumptions that have been ingrained in our society for forever.
Yeah, I love the word choice that you're using, ingrained, assumptions, assume, because I think this topic is actually fairly subtle, right? Like, how often do we hear people say, like, well, I am getting older now, as a reason for maybe their body has changed. Maybe they're getting headaches. Maybe they're noticing their energy levels dip. Maybe they're not getting out to the skate park. Maybe, they're, again, just like what you said, a whole slew of excuses. And I think when, just like what you said, when we've got that practice and I'm in our back pocket and we're observing this stuff every day, we have that opportunity to kind of peel those layers, right? Peel those layers and see what is what is true, what possibly isn't true, and Yeah, take us down that road a little bit more.
Well, you triggered a thought, which is the assumptions about how we age,
Mm,
right? So, and Darwin hit this a little bit in his last um, extended class in our last little chat. But it's so similar. Like on one side there is the aging process. On the other side is what is the how can we optimize the aging process, and how can we get out of our own way to allow us to age gracefully? So if we get stuck in these loops of um, I'm too old, or uh, it's just part of the even the lingo. Even in your 20s and 30s, or in my 20s and 30s, I would hear friends my age start that sort of language, which was weird. And it felt right at the time, but now in hindsight, I can say, wait a minute, like I feel like they just said that because that's what you're supposed to say.
mm,
And we just keep perpetuating it because that's what we do. That's how social
mhm,
ideas and stuff
mhm,
exist. So I think it's important to know with the Kaiut method that um, there is a long-term, big picture goal to age gracefully and to
mhm,
prepare ourselves for those later years in life. So um, I think again that the practice is just amazing at, if we can allow the practice to work inside of us and inside of our minds, to really witness what is actually occurring inside and make the choice that I'm not going to allow those ideas and stuff that I didn't create myself to drive the path of my life.
mhm,
And for me, um, back to the skateboarding thing, um, there probably was a time some years ago before Kaiut where I just got caught up with work, and I didn't skate for 20 years.
mm,
And then I made the choice, you know what? And this is after doing Kaiut. I made the choice, I should go out there. It's fun. I don't
mhm,
need to worry about my knee anymore, my lower back pain that I had
mhm,
before Kaiut, things feeling really good. And that sort of allowed me to say, you know what, I can just go, let me go skate. And it ended up being great. And I haven't injured myself yet, knock on wood. I take it sort of easy, I just have fun. And I think that's the whole point. Get through the things that might prevent you to do the things you like, and then do the things you like.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, also in all of these 2 hour sessions, kind of the topics kind of start bleeding together and things start melding together, right? Your approach now to skating is probably totally different too, right? And you've built up a certain resiliency in your system. It would be immature of us to think that we're not going to age or we're never going to hurt or any of that. But you have built up this resource inside of yourself to that you can access, or that
Well,
is naturally there for you now.
yeah, it'd be, we're not saying you don't age.
Yeah.
That happens, but how can you optimize
Hmm.
that process
Hmm.
and be in tune with it? And
Yeah.
the yoga is the tool to be in tune with ourselves and our relationship with nature and our evolution and all of that. So, and I think that's why these topics kind of stack or very related, because the yoga is hitting a very foundational aspect of our lives that spreads out everywhere.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and um, with even with reaching the potential, or unleashing our potential, there's so many avenues we can take with that, which I think is super cool. So we'll explore a couple of these topics, and what I my intention is to open up some portals, sort of, so to speak, to absorb some of those ideas that might not actually be true in ourselves.
Mm, mm. Nice. So, so far, right, we've talked about unleashing your potential a little bit with resiliency. We've related unleashing your potential in terms of aging. I'm curious, Craig, to hear your thoughts around unleashing your potential in regards to restrictions.
Mm, sure. So nature gave us a certain set of functions. All of our brains assume a certain set of functions. And over time, in the modern way of living, those functions start to diminish. And
Mhm.
typically, from the lack of motion, the lack of movement, we start getting bound up and restricted in our joints. So, um, that process, aging,
Mhm.
that's an aging process that'll happen naturally, but it can happen a little too fast, too soon, depending on how we move about the world. Um, so the nature inside of us is asking for a certain set of movements, and um, if we can start allowing or diminishing these restrictions we've built up, nature starts flowing through us more easily, more naturally, which aligns us with nature. And I think from a just purely physical perspective, the moment we start unlocking our body,
Mm,
again, all these other layers, all this resonant occurrences of opening up the system start
mm,
happening. And as we know, that the mind and body are deeply linked.
mhm,
So the moment we can unlock these areas, maybe we're a nicer person. Maybe we
mhm,
can see, or the body sort of shows us, like, I think I've had something stuck in that hip that has made me behave a certain way, and now I'm able to see it and allow myself to let it go. So there's all sorts of different connections in that way. So why Kaiut is such a profound method is because we can simply just work with the joint.
mm,
It's simple. We
mhm.
can work with the joints,
There's an access
unlock
point.
them. Yeah, it's our access point, and we don't even have to think or have an intention to do anything, because
Mhm.
nature is in there allowing this process to occur if we're giving it what it wants, which
Mm,
is a body that is functional, that is in line with how we've evolved.
mhm,
Um, so um, I just think it's super cool, and as teachers, it's very nice point that we can simply work with the joints, and it just unlocks and has the potential to work on everybody in a different way and make um, progressions in all sorts of different ways due to your uniqueness. Um, so yeah.
yeah, I'm wondering from that teacher perspective, and we don't need to name any names or anything like that, but I'm wondering if you could share maybe a student story where you saw a student transform, unleash their potential, where you saw them after practicing for, could be anything, could be 2 months, could be 4 months, could be a year. In a
Yeah,
general way, could you tell us about a student experience?
sure. Um, First person that comes to mind, woman in later years of life,
Mhm.
came in with lots of injuries, was an athlete
Mm,
in her younger years, and lots of emotional trauma
mm,
throughout the years for various reasons. And when I saw, maybe after about 6 months of very consistent practice, the attitude of
mm,
this student was um, just 180 degrees.
mm,
Confidence, accepting of those past traumas or very heavy emotional events.
mhm,
Um, and, you know, on the other side of it, she could move about better. She could do some things she couldn't do before. So I think, I mean, in my eyes, it's just the perfect um, sort of description of this reaching the potential. Even in your late
mhm,
70s, six
mm,
months' time can completely change things.
mhm,
Um, and again, very simple. My approach with her was super simple. Um, our practice it's not complex. I mean, the positions we do in the beginning, um, as a Kaiut teacher, we can adapt for people that may not necessarily be able to jump right in with the whole class. So I applied lots of support, emotional um, um, openness, and the combination of that from the teacher and just the simple poses just bring in this amazing um, ability to unleash a potential. And I think it can just keep going and going and going. And this is what Francisco talks about a lot. Like, we limit ourselves so much, and I'm going to loop this back around in these social perceptions of how we think we ought to be moving, behaving, or whatever, and we don't know. We don't know what the limits
mm.
are for aging, for living a very happy life. And so why keep us confined um, in some idea you think you have of your life where you have an opportunity to explore it in some way. So I'm hoping we can do this sort of thing on the 15th.
Oh my gosh, Craig, that sounds amazing. That sounds great. Cool. Golly, is there any last thoughts you want to share before we close this up?
I don't think so. I just hope everybody can attend these sort of things with us. And if you're new to the practice, it's still fine to come to these extended sessions. Just we hope to see you. And Kristen, I hope you come too.
Oh, I'm going to be there, buddy. I'm going to be there. Craig, you do bring up a really good point. Whether you're experienced with the Kaiut method or whether you're new, essentially in a lot of ways we're laying memories, we're providing you the opportunity to lay memories, to like be a very different way in relationship to your body and experience your body very differently. And so it's super important that we're offering this to the community, super important that people are coming and taking advantage of it. And you know, I I'm I just want to share this. It's just kind of came up for me that probably one of the most poignant testimonials that was shared with me at one point. It was about 2 years ago. A student came up to me, super happy in the practice, all of that stuff. But he said, "You know what? It's made me a better daddy." And
Hmm.
And that one just really landed deep in my heart because it was a very concrete example around this whole unleash your potential in a lot of different areas. We're not just talking physically, we're not just talking emotionally, we're talking relationally. All of that ripples out. It makes our community better, it makes our world better. And just kind of comes back to that piece of we all really do make a difference. So I'm so happy that this is the topic that you landed on, and I can't wait to participate. It's going to be Saturday, May 15th. And what's the time, Craig?
4 to 6 p.m. Mountain Time.
Great, great. So check it out, you guys. Shoot us an email if you want to sign up. And in the meantime, we'll be at Kaiut Yoga Boulder daily. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye bye.
Bye. Great to see you, Craig. Love you.
Love you too. Bye.